Oh my gosh, which one are you rooting for? I'm rooting for the one on the left. Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be talking about my brown recluse. As a lot of you probably remember, I have a wild caught brown recluse that my friend gave me with an egg sac. That first egg sac never hatched. She laid a second egg sac that I removed. She laid a third egg sac, which I also removed. And then to our surprise, a couple months ago, she actually laid a fourth egg sac, which at that point I had just given up and I said, okay, we'll just see if it hatches. And then I kind of left you guys hanging. I have an update for you guys. I have quite an update. But before we get into that, I did want to thank Micro Wilderness for sponsoring today's video. Micro Wilderness is a vendor and a breeder here in the United States. He's located in California and he specializes in a lot of species that actually are native to the United States, including Phidippus regius. He's got a lot of jumping spiders coming within the next week or two, and yeah, I know a lot of you guys ask me all the time, what's a reputable vendor for jumping spiders? Micro Wilderness. And I also have a code for you guys. It's CAT10, you'll get 10% off. So yeah, thank you guys so much again for sponsoring another video. With all that said, let's get into this brown recluse stuff because I have a lot to cover. We have a lot of updates and I have a lot to say. So the first thing we are going to talk about is this book. It's called The Brown Recluse by Richard Vedder. You may be wondering why I am whipping out this book. It's because anytime I say brown recluse on my channel, you guys remember that game where you like look in a mirror and you say Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary, or Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice, Beetlejuice? Well, my word is brown recluse. And whenever somebody says brown recluse in the comments, they
ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
It's never good. Nobody ever has a good story about a brown recluse. It's like just saying the word brown recluse suddenly triggers all these terrible stories about them. So before we talk more about these, I wanted to just actually give myself some credibility here, or rather reference somebody who does have a lot more credibility than me, which is Richard Vedder. More often I hear him go by Rick Vedder, but this entomologist is like the guy to go to for any information about the Loxosceles reclusa or the brown recluse. He's got so much information collected in this neat little book. Instead of you guys taking my word for it, I have a like actual qualified person backing up claims that I'm about to make. It's got a lot of information, but there's just a few things that I wanted to touch on. Here's all of the contents. So yeah, it has everything from taxonomy to identification, misidentification, distribution, which is a big thing. We have a lot of debates in the comments about distribution, medical aspects, and medical misdiagnosis. Chapter 6 and 7 are very confusing. If you do not know medical terms, I just tried to get through them. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. And then it's got like human psychology, bites, alleged bites by other spiders, control measures. It's got like everything. It covers it so well. The first part of the introduction, one of the first things that stand out to me, and something that I say all the time, brown recluse bites usually do not lead to severe symptoms, but about 10% of cases develop necrotic lesions that may require skin graft. And then it goes on to like go a little bit more in depth about more severe reactions. I highlighted right here, it says, as a result, the brown recluse now induces fear where it is found and even where it is not found. The brown recluse's infamous reputation causes people to believe they see the spider in parts of North America where it does not exist. Florida! We're gonna talk a little bit about that here in a minute. But something that I didn't even think about that this book kind of brought to my attention is it provides significant revenue for the pest control industry. Think about it. What kind of drives the pest control industry? Fear of bugs and spiders, and especially these deadly brown recluse. Of course, if you see a brown recluse, oh my gosh, that's so fear-inducing because they can cause your arm to rot off, and pest control industries like thrive off of that. Like you are making them a lot of money spreading that misinformation. And it's always interesting to me too when I get into these little arguments online that so many people will tell me, oh, I had a pest control person ID this or a pest control person tell me this, and they seem to think that this pest control person is more qualified to speak on the venom and identification of certain spiders when really like they're just kind of trained to kill them as far as I know. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't their main job to kill them and not ID them and not know the scientific aspects of its venom and such? I don't know. Moving on. I know I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm sorry. I promise we'll get to these guys soon. It'll be worth it. But I just wanted to clarify this again because I know in the comments what is going to happen. Not necessarily from my like core audience that just like comes here, but just like people that stumble upon this video that might not be familiar with spiders at all. This other thing, I didn't highlight this, but it is interesting. It says, however, knowledge of the brown recluse lags behind the wealth of information for the black widow. As a result, misinformation and misconceptions fill the gaps between popular thought and arachnological knowledge. Although in most cases this merely results in telling and retelling of harmless myths, the reiteration of these myths can sometimes cause real damage. One example of this damage occurs when ill-informed physicians diagnose brown recluse spider bites as the cause of skin lesions in areas of the continent where recluse spiders of any species are exceedingly rare or have never been found. And like I said, there's an entire chapter about distribution, so we'll get there. Chapter 2 is about identification, and it really just like reiterates certain things that I've talked about in past videos. I have a whole brown recluse playlist if you haven't seen it. Some of it's old and kind of cringy, but the information, I stand by it. One, of course, good way to tell a brown recluse from other spiders is this violin pattern on its back, but another is this eye pattern, 2, 2, 2. It has 6 eyes, not 8. Misidentification. What I liked about this chapter is they really show like other spiders that are commonly confused for brown recluse, and there's one specific one, Florida, that we need to talk about. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. This is the southern house spider. This right here is a mature male, and they actually do get that violin pattern on their back and resemble brown recluse so closely, except as you'll see their pedipalps are shaped differently. But whenever I like get curious and I go on Instagram and I search like the brown recluse hashtag, I see so many of these. This is the part that I wanted to talk about most though, and kind of really plays into this video, which is mating. Here's some good brown recluse mating photographs, but I highlighted this part. It's kind of relevant to this video. So like I said, this brown recluse, this was her 4th egg sac that she has laid from one pairing. And in this book it says a brown recluse is a medium-sized spider and the average egg sac contains 50 eggs with a recorded maximum of 91. Females average 2.7 egg sacs in a lifetime, and it can range from 1 to 5. So we got 4 egg sacs from my female, could have been 5. Females lay their first egg sacs about 12 days after mating, and in the lab they have laid repeatedly without additional matings. However, the first egg sac had the greatest number of eggs and the subsequent sacs had progressively fewer. I've found that to be true as well with my jumping spiders. Brown recluse spiderlings look very much like small replicas of the adults, except that they lack the darkly pigmented violin marking. So mine are actually just now beginning to show the violin marking. I'm not exactly sure how long ago they hatched. They're already starting to display that violin, and they look just like miniature brown recluse at the size that they're at. Really useful information I found in this book about the development of the egg sac and all this mating information, stuff that I wish I had known, and stuff that I don't really see online, and it's just really in depth about everything. This is something that I did find very useful, not something I see talked about a lot. The eggs and the second instar spiderlings did not have measurable quantities of the toxic recluse venom enzyme, and I'm not even going to try to say it, but this is it. I'll spell it on there. But yeah, I just thought it was really interesting that this compound started developing in the 3rd instar and kept increasing into adulthood. So that means the slings do not contain as much, or if any, of the more toxic venom enzyme that is kind of more exclusive to the Loxosceles. But more into their development, it says recluses develop slowly, so it will take months for them to grow from small spiderlings to adult spiders. Because recluses can go long periods without food, feeding them once a week should be sufficient for them to grow. As the spiderlings get larger, they should be removed into individual containers so they can be fed larger prey. I was actually really curious what I should do, if I should keep them together or if I should separate them. I will separate them once they get larger, but in this book it kind of just says to wait until they get a little bit larger, and then it kind of does go more into detail, saying it is more time consuming to feed spiders individually, but once they reach about the halfway point to maturity, they can be fed once or twice a month. Now let's talk about distribution, because this is like a very big debate, I guess. So I have posted this map before and I got a lot of heat for it. I was not expecting people to actually see the map and like get angry with me in the comments, but some have, and that's fine. But this guy, like I said, he knows what he's talking about. Like, this is probably the most reputable person I would think of when it comes to the Loxosceles genus. So just saying. But this is the map. However, and I'm gonna read this because I feel like it is very important. If anybody is getting very angry with me around this area or this area, we'll talk. We're gonna talk. They are dense and easy to find in the middle of their range, but as the margins of their acceptable habitat are reached, the animals become less common. They are harder to find. They may exist in isolated pockets instead of being broadly distributed. This is like the umbrella range. So they're basically saying this is where they're gonna be most dense. But as you venture more outside these areas, is it possible there's maybe some around here? Yes. Is it probable? Not really. And then this is interesting because they actually do a state-by-state distribution and like go into detail, but it's funny they said Missouri and Arkansas are not included in their breakdown because brown recluses are common throughout both states. And yeah, I'm right there. Right there in St. Louis. So yeah, brown recluse are everywhere. But yeah, it goes really into depth about each state where it's found and kind of like the areas. And then it has this really interesting part where it says the brown recluse beyond its native range. Outside of its native range, the brown recluse spider is rarely found. Although it does sometimes get transported out of this region, most of the spiders probably die in new environments. On extremely rare occasions, a population of brown recluse spiders will establish itself in a new area, but the author is aware of less than 40 buildings in non-indigenous recluse areas known to have recluse populations. In comparison, to find 40 buildings populated by brown recluse spiders in Kansas or Missouri, one would have to walk down just one residential street. Yes, Missouri. Yes, Kansas. We have a lot of brown recluse. And if you live in one of these states where they are native, you probably have quite a few inside your house. I'm so sorry to tell you, even if you've never seen one. Florida, I told you we were going to talk about you, and I'm here we are. Let's do it. Florida. Despite the wonderful tropical weather in Florida, recluse spiders are not part of the native fauna, nor have they ever established themselves except in rare isolated cases. Despite vehement tongue lashings from the general public about the irresponsibility of stating that there are no brown recluses in the state, not one of these several hundred spiders submitted by Florida residents was a recluse. Not one. Interesting, right? And I like how they like specified tongue lashings from the general public. I've been on that receiving end of them making these videos about brown recluse. I mean, it goes on to like say more, and there's a lot of like very useful information in all of this. Again, I seriously recommend picking up this book. Now I'm gonna kind of stop there, but I do want to say that chapter 6 is medical aspects, and I like went through it to an extent. There are some kind of icky pictures I'm gonna not show, but yeah, chapter 6 is about the medical aspects of the bite, and then chapter 7 is the medical misdiagnosis. And I just kind of wanted to say, it says Russell, one of the world's foremost authorities on animal venoms and plant toxins, published a few short articles warning the medical community against this tendency to diagnose many skin lesions of varied expression as results of brown recluse spider bites. Working at medical schools at universities in Southern California and Arizona, he noted that at least 60% of these diagnoses occurred in areas where no Loxosceles spiders had ever been found. So it seems like there have been like doctors who have like spoken out about this. And it kind of also goes into infections and like kind of other things that present as brown recluse spider bites that are very commonly misdiagnosed, because brown recluse spider bites are very rare, very uncommon, even in Missouri where they're very dense. It doesn't happen a lot. Chapter 6 and chapter 7, they had a lot of medical stuff that was just very over my head, things that I could not even sit here and look in a camera and try to explain to you guys, because I don't understand a lot of it. And it's funny because a lot of you guys know Tarantula Cribs, who supplies a lot of enclosures and stuff for this channel. So the owner of Tarantula Cribs is local here, and he's a doctor, and he kind of tried to break down some of this to me. It was very even him explaining it to me was just... We're going to talk a little bit more in depth about it in a different video, and he can translate it better than I ever could. So we will talk about the medical aspects more in depth some other time. Because I'm not even gonna try. Not qualified, but I will bring somebody on who is. But yeah, if you want to hear more about the medical aspects and have Mo from Tarantula Cribs kind of break that down, comment down below, let me know, and you know, we can probably meet up and do that. All right. That was a lot of talking. I am so sorry if I bored you, but it was important. And now we're going to talk about my brown recluse spiders because I have a lot of them. Now, I'm not gonna lie, these babies are very quick. They are very fast, and they can actually climb a little bit better than I was anticipating. But I'm gonna try to find some. Oh, I see some walking around. You can see one right there, and as you see, it's actually like managing to climb the wall. Not great, but yeah. See, around the enclosure, they've kind of webbed up these little houses. I would like this one up here. There you go. You see its little brown pattern? And look how bolty they are. They're so fast. They're so little, it's kind of hard to see, but there it is. And it has that violin shape on it. So yeah, these guys probably are like 3rd instar according to that book. So yeah, I do have some bad news that I want to talk to you guys about. So after her 4th egg sac and they hatched and everything, she lived for a little bit, but I could tell that she was old and she was dying because she wasn't taking down big prey. She was still eating, and I did see her eat some fruit flies when I fed the babies last week, but she had just slowed down so much. It was very obvious what was happening, and so she did die, and I have left her in here because I have noticed the babies have been munching a little bit on her, which is no surprise. It's just like impossible to even like see all of them. There's so many of them, and they're really little, and they creep around like little face huggers. Like their movements are just like face huggers, and then they just like move so fast too. Like they have 2 speeds. Oh, there's 2. You see them? There we go, I got one, finally. There it is. Look at that. I will say, because the mom died, I am actually kind of happy that we have babies because I didn't really want them because I didn't know what to do with them. Like, who wants brown recluse? Nobody wants to buy brown recluse. But because mom did die, I am happy that we have her babies to kind of raise up a little bit. Drop some of these in here. And I'm gonna have to lid this real quick. Oh, they are running around taking down prey as we speak. Check that out. Oh, there's 2 fighting over it. Look at that. Oh my gosh, which one are you rooting for? I'm rooting for the one on the left. That's so cool. Oh, the other one took off with it. See, it's right there. And this one's looking now. But yeah, see how interesting they are? They're actually really cool. I just don't know what to do with them. Look, we have another one over here eating. But yeah, I don't know. I've just been having a lot of fun with it. It's kind of nice to have been indifferent about it. Like, if they hatch, they hatch. If they don't, they don't. If they grow, they grow. If they don't, they don't. And it's just been a nice, like, little casual project I've been working on quietly and just observing. And yeah, I don't know. It's been a lot of fun. So I will keep you guys updated on them if you would like. I don't know. I know there's a lot of brown recluse haters out there. Trust me, I get it. They used to be, like, the most terrifying spider to me. Obviously, I don't feel that way anymore. They do make me nervous just because I don't like to come across one, especially like if I'm like cleaning or something. Fortunately, that doesn't happen often, but yeah, I don't know. Eventually we'll have to separate them, I guess. I was kind of thinking I'll just keep them communally, but I don't know. I'm sure they would like eat each other. I'm sure they have. But yeah, all right. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, like it, subscribe if you're not, and you want to be. Don't forget my Instagram video is probably way too much. It's at Tarantula Kat. You can go follow me there. As a Patreon podcast and a Teespring. It is all linked down below. Let's get into the Patreon pet pics.